for us from Word into Silence by John Main. Our task in meditation is to allow our unity to be restored and for our scattered parts to move back into their proper, harmonious alignment to the center of our being. To do this, we must not scatter ourselves further. We concentrate to move towards our center. When our consciousness truly awakens to that center in silence, then a power is released, which is the power of life, the power of the spirit. In that power, we are reformed, reunited, recreated. Our prayer before meditation. Heavenly Father, open our hearts to the silent presence of the Spirit of your Son. Lead us into that mysterious silence where your love is revealed to all who call. Maranatha, come, Lord Jesus. My gong has gone, but I apologise because I thought I'd taken myself off of mute. So sincere apologies. So we'll take a moment to bring ourselves together. Well, it's a real pleasure to introduce Stephen. And it's a particular pleasure because I have discovered that Stephen is just down the road from me. And it's even more of a pleasure because Stephen is based in Bath, beautiful city. And I recently, only last week, took a fellow meditator to Bath Abbey, and she came over from Venezuela. So she's a member of our community from Venezuela, and it just reminds me of how close we are together. So Stephen is leads a weekly meditation in Bath, in a chapel in Bath, not in Bath Abbey, working as a visual artist, very involved in community projects. And you will have probably read his summary, recently exhibited his contemplative abstract drawings and paintings at the Meditatio Centre and at Hereford Cathedral and indeed Bath Abbey. So Stephen, you are very welcome. And I'm just very intrigued now to meet you and to hear what you have to offer us. So over to you, Stephen.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you everybody for being here and welcoming me in. Yes, Bath is a beautiful place to live, and it's always had a very healing tradition going back to before the Romans, actually, and the Roman baths and the Georgians. And it's lovely to meditate there in a chapel which is from a 12th century hospital, St. John's Hospital, which is a centre for almshouses still today. And we have a meeting there every Monday at 11 o'clock. I don't think I'm going to make it this morning, but I'll be there in spirit. So I want to talk a little bit about how meditation has changed my life, has transformed my life in that it has simply allowed me to find my true center. And I think John's main words at the beginning were very appropriate to me and probably many of us. God is at the center of our being, as John Main says, and it's a very simple process, but the complex and harder thing is to actually feel that and to connect with that. And that's what we're doing, obviously, with Christian meditation. And also, there are ways that help, and visual art is one way that can help find that center. One activity like chant, like dance, movement, the various practices which help people center and find that stillness and that mysterious presence within. So I'm going to talk about that really from my own perspective and the perspective of visual art as I practice it. I'll start by showing a little video, if I can, through screen share. This is a video made spontaneously at Hereford Cathedral whilst I was putting up the exhibition of my pictures. And Hereford Cathedral has the Mappa Mundi, and the Mappa Mundi, which you probably know, has Jerusalem at the center, but it's very much a kind of metaphor for God being at the center of the world and the center of our life. My pictures in some way connected with the Mappa Mundi and that image of the world with a central theme of Jerusalem. So in my mandalas, or contemplative circles, as I like to call them, there's usually a still space in the middle, which is the presence of God within. So if I could get to screen share, I'll go to my website. If you need to check in on my website, yeah, just Google my name, Stephen McGrath, with a PH, M-A-G, and then you will find it. So if you go to videos, here we go, and hopefully the technology will work. I think John Main will be very impressed about how technology has enabled the community to connect across continents and bring people together. So let's see if this works, right. It's wonderful to be here at Hereford Cathedral, exhibiting my work. It's part of a touring show, which has been in London and is going on to Bath Abbey. And the title, Journey to Your Centre, The Art of Meditation, describes why I made the pictures. They were coming from a place of meditation, but they're also about finding your own centre, your own heart centre. The pictures encourage you to be still and to centre your concentration in the middle of the pictures, the images, away from the busyness and the noisiness that surrounds the centre. And the idea is contemplative prayer, meditation, and a sense of peace and harmony with the world can be enhanced through the gaze at images, a bit like icons in other traditions and medieval art. In some ways, it links with the Mappa Mundi, where the image and vision of the world are circular, but Jerusalem is the center and the focus, helps us make that same journey. But here we're making a journey in our own minds. We're not going on pilgrimage all the way to Jerusalem. And for that reason, they're quite accessible to all people. So I hope that that explains a little bit where I'm coming from and that you can come and see the work yourself. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about my journey into meditation, because that might be quite helpful. I was brought up Catholic and I went to a Benedictine boarding school, and I had a sense of contemplation and the peace that was possible through prayer. But I don't think it became really real to me until my 30s. I was going through a really difficult time in my 30s. And I was working in London in sales and marketing, and it was a very stressful life. And I wasn't happy with myself or the world. And
Stephen, unfortunately, I muted you. I was trying to mute somebody else. That's better, thank you. Yeah, I apologise for that.
That's all right, okay. So I was just talking about my journey into meditation, how I was unhappy in my 30s, and how I was spiritually seeking. But a bit like John Main, my way in was perhaps through the yoga tradition and learning about meditation through the Hindu tradition of meditation and silence. But it didn't quite resonate with my idea of God or my tradition and background. But I went on a yoga retreat to the Bahamas, which is a lovely place to go and practice yoga. And it was an interfaith retreat, and there was somebody from the States there, a priest, and he volunteered to offer people meditation sessions one-on-one, and I volunteered for that. And very subtly, he just encouraged me to focus on my center, on my heart center, and just in the piece feel the presence of God there. And in an instant I did. And it's one of those instantaneous moments in life which can be subtly very transformative. And it was for me, and it empowered me because it allowed me to feel good about myself, to feel that I was worthy of living as Stephen rather than as some other idea of how I should live. It gave me the confidence to give up my job and focus on art, which I was doing as a kind of therapy and as a sort of hobby. So I left work and went to art school and studied for 4 years, and then moved to Bath, and then set up a life here as an artist. And I think that was all possible because of meditation and what it gave me as a practice. So I then subsequently discovered WCCM, and then set up a group in 2015 at home here, and then we've moved into the centre of Bath, which works better now. So in terms of my journey into art, as I said, that was a hobby and a sort of therapeutic exercise for me in my 30s, but then I was able to make it into work. So I've been working, I worked for 10 years in a special needs school as a visiting artist. And then about 4 years ago, I set up something called mindful art. So the idea of mindful art is that it's a practice that combines mindfulness and visual art. So it's accessible, hopefully, to everybody, because I provide people with compasses and templates and rulers and things, so that you don't have to be an artist, you don't have to do anything freehand. But the art practice is really a way into mindfulness. And I've been helped by a number of people, the tradition of icons and the practice of spending a lot of time on making an image, the Buddhist tradition of making mandalas, which are often made with sand and then just thrown away. The idea of not being attached to the art, but the practice, the process of making it being meaningful in itself and therapeutic and bringing one closer to God. So I've also quite influenced by Stephen Reynolds' book, Living with the Mind of Christ, which has got a lovely image of it, sort of mandala-like image on the front. So Stephen, who I think is here, led a lovely retreat at Amadown, which is not far from here. I'm going in September as well. There's going to be another one coming up, which will be lovely, with Mark. Combining art and mindfulness through mindful art is a practice that supports me and something I do almost daily, I suppose. In order to facilitate that for other people, I've set up this mindful art in Bath, and I work with a number of different organisations. So I work with St John's Hospital, that organisation I mentioned, with elderly people, often very isolated people. I work with Bath Mind, so it's addressing mental health issues through mindfulness and art, and various other groups. And I've done retreats, at Amadown, places like that. I've offered this as a practice. So I'll just show you a few images from the website about the mindful art, so you can see people actually doing it. And again, if it's something that people here are interested in, we can talk about that in future. And I also do a bi-weekly email. Again, if anybody's interested in receiving a bi-weekly email. It's something I started in COVID with an image and a poem or a prayer, just to kind of encourage people to meditate. So this is mindful art, and you see this image here is from Bath Abbey. So Bath Abbey received the moon. I don't know if you know about this, but there's this vast inflatable moon that's been touring cathedrals and institutions in the UK and abroad. And this was an opportunity to combine an exhibition I had of contemplative circles simultaneously with the moon, and then have a series of workshops. So this is a workshop of adults with learning disabilities. My wife works with this group, and they came along. Here we are, all wearing masks, so you can tell it wasn't that long ago, making images of circular contemplative images inspired by the moon and my artwork. So this is from the tradition. We can see Buddhist mandalas. This was actually done by one of my students in one of my groups. Very, very beautiful mandala. And this is another group which is working with MenCap and a group of young people making mindful art. This is a comment from Jane, who hadn't done art since school, and she's 70, and she was amazed that she was able to get back into it. So these are pictures of mine in Bath Abbey with another workshop going on. So this just gives you a sense of what we're doing. Celtic circles. Yeah, there we go. So I always think images are a much easier way of understanding these things. There we go. So I think, yeah, I've described my journey into meditation, my journey into art, and the fusion of the two into mindful art practice. And I would just encourage people, if they're trying to meditate and finding it hard work, as I do, sometimes doing something with your hands, but which is still a silent activity, could be really helpful. And for me, you know, presented with a blank sheet of paper is scary, but as soon as you put a circle in it, and you can use a plate or a compass or anything, possibly a smaller circle in the middle, which will represent the presence of God within, and then build up an image as you wish, and it can be abstract, and it can have characters or images in there, whatever helps you, but try to keep outside the circle empty, and that can represent the world and the busyness and all the problems of the world, and also all one's thoughts and anxiety and negativity. So we try and exclude that from the outer rim. So somehow the outer rim of the circle is comforting in that it's a kind of perimeter that holds oneself, and then also represents a sense of the eternal, and in some ways the universal. So I can see why I come back to circles, and a lot of traditions have come back to circles in their design practice. So something that you can do at home, and you know, get some colors and color it in. So that's something I can recommend to the group. So I think that's about it from me. Thanks for listening. I hope that was interesting, and I hope to see some of you again, either at Amadan or at Bath. You're always welcome to come and join our group on Monday mornings. So you can get in touch with me through my email, stephenmcgrath@hotmail.com. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Stephen. I know that all of us wanted you to carry on talking because you were offering. I've made notes, and for someone that's always been scared of attempting art in that sort of grand sense. I've dabbled here and there, and what I really drew from what you were offering is that sense of transformation and finding our true center as we practice, as we make art. So it's the process, and the way that you described the center. God is at the center of our true being, and that was a wonderful beginning of the image that you gave us of the visual art. And it is a journey to the center and sense of creating that for ourselves. And I think for me is the sense that it's accessible to all people. Well, isn't that good news? That is such good news. There's nothing exclusive about it. The accessibility that you offer. Yes, the art is the practice of making it, bringing us closer to God. So you've given us actually quite a lot of opportunities now. So maybe instead of us all making our hot chocolate before we go to bed or our coffee before midday, is just to take a plate and draw that outer circle and the inner circle and have a go. How wonderful, how portable, how sensible. But also your, I think it was twice weekly, you said the image, poem and prayer that you offer as a way to reflect our own meditation practice that you're offering through your website, your own community projects. So I'm sure you'll find quite a few hits on your website. I know I will be having a look, and it's lovely to know that you're just down the road. As we all are in many senses, we're all just down the road, aren't we? And you said at the end that the outer rim is the comforting aspects of our lives, and the inner rim that holds ourselves at the center, the God center. So it's a joyful thing that we are creating in what you have described. So thank you so much. Before I close, there is a request. You'll see, by the way, Stephen, you're getting lots and lots of chats. So what Mary does weekly and lovingly, Mary captures all of those chats and she sends them to the speaker. So in your own time and in your own space, you can reflect on the comments that are being offered in thanks to you, Stephen. But before we close, just a couple of things. On the 29th of August, which in the UK is a bank holiday, we don't actually have a speaker. And Mark has suggested, Mark Kenny, who organises our speakers, has suggested that it might be an opportunity to actually offer or invite you, 2 or 3 of you, to offer your testimonies, your reflections on your journey, on your meditation practice, or where you practice your meditation. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes of short reflections, but rather than having it as a sort of a free-for-all, what would be really helpful is if you could contact me, and Julia has put my email up on the chat. If you would like to just give 2 or 3 minutes of your own personal reflections on your meditation or your oblate journey within the community, then let me know. And please don't be shy. I don't know whether that's the right word, because you will know that all of us around this gallery have offered such wisdom from such an authentic, simple place. So please do get in touch with me over the next week or two. And if you would like to just give 2 or 3 minutes, I will guide you in that, because I'll be the welcomer on that Monday as well. So I think that's all I needed to say about that. And thank you again, Stephen. And of course, there's a wonderful example of how we bring our meditation into community in a very special way. Thank you to Julia and to Mary and to Alan, those 3 people who constantly care for us, because it's not just today, but it's during the week as well that the work is done in preparing for Benedict's Well. May the divine assistance be always with us and with our absent brothers and sisters. Amen. Thank you, Julia. Julia, you're on mute now.
Oh, sorry about that. One of those mornings, I think. Anyway, thank you, Janet, and thank you, Stephen, for that most interesting talk. I should be looking for those fortnightly emails too, so that was fascinating. Thank you so much. And now it's time to think about next week. And we have Father Patricio Lynch, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Lynch. And Father Patricio currently is the Servant Director, Mission Integration of Amigos de Jesu, a home for children in Honduras. He's a missionary priest that lives part of the year in rural areas of the Honduran West and the rest of the year in Argentina doing ministry and offering scholarships in the villages of misery in Buenos Aires. And his title of his talk is Tango, Meditation and Healing. So that's an inspiring title, isn't it? Intriguing. So we have him to look forward to next week. So thank you once again to everybody. Thank you all for coming. And we hope you have a very good week. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye and God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Janet. Thank you,
Julia.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Very healthy.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Take care.
See you guys.